always be looking or realistic about if things stop working to change. And there are some people who are pretty exceptional at going from one strategy to the other. Ed Thorpe is a great example, who started out by actually. His background is he had a PhD. We didn't get the PhD in physics because he never finished his thesis, but the reason he didn't finish because he decided he didn't know enough math and then ended up with a PhD in math and then never wrote his thesis in physics. So he was a real quant guy, but he got involved eventually in markets. He's famous. His fame in the world, by the way, is not markets. It's famous to the world because he wrote this book, Beat the Dealer. He figured out mathematically how you could win a blackjack, and he wrote this book that sold millions of copies, and actually is the person who's responsible for casinos changing the way they handle blackjack, multiple decks, reshuffling, all of that, due to his book. But that's sort of a tangent. To go back to the markets, he decided the real place to make money was the markets, and he was the first one to figure out the mathematical equivalent of the Black-Scholes model, which he did quite a few years before the Black and Scholes published their famous paper. So for a number of years, he was trading options very successfully, probably the only person in the world who knew how to price them. So he was making massive amount of money with very, very, almost no drawdowns. Then he went on, but as the efficiency went out of that, he became involved in statistical arbitrage. He developed that. He developed convertible arbitrage. He developed various strategies going from one to the other as each strategy started to lose its edge as more people became familiar with the approach. So he's a perfect example of somebody who starts out with one strategy and goes through completely different strategies by adapting to the changing market conditions. Even within a single strategy like statistical arbitrage, I'm not going to go into the details because it's too specific for this type of broadcast, but even within that strategy, he changed the way that strategy worked through several iterations as the markets were changing, each time making the strategy again have an edge. And that's in the interview. I think it's too detailed to go into in this podcast how he did that.
Yeah, and I mean that kind of raises a point which I've heard you talk about numerous times, and that is that most traders tend to come unstuck due to a lack of flexibility. Is that what you're getting at here?
Yeah, I mean that's a trait that probably the majority of traders don't have, and it is a trait that is essential for great traders. That is the ability to be flexible in every way. And one example would be to be able to say, hey, this has been a great method, but it's just stopping working, and I've got to figure out what does work and why this is not working and change if it's not working. So that's a way of being flexible. Another way of being flexible is like one of the stories I have in Hedge Fund Market Wizards, a fellow by the name of Jamie May, who goes into a trade, goes into one trade idea.